welcome back to another episode of the Geek Podcast.
This is your host, Charlie Radio Williams, and this is SeanLuc.
Welcome back to another episode of the Geek Podcast.
I like running that even though we're not a live show and we're doing this as a pre-recorded show.
Yeah.
But do you know
what? It gives people that anticipation of us getting started.
But you notice how
all two of our fans.
Oh, yeah. You notice how that beat dropped at some point? It was like dun 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 dun. You got your head bobbing.
Oh, of course, yeah. When are you gonna create your own countdown timer?
I don't know. I've been thinking about it. You know,
we have like I would say do a 15-second counter, right? With all different images of Geek with you and me.
I do want to get to a chance where where we go out and we just film our intro. The way that we would film our intro would be like Siskel and Ebert. You know, like you get off a bus and then you do that stupid like 1980s, 1990s turn where you're just like, and then like I'm reading a newspaper and I'm like, I don't know what that's.
Oh, those little 80s sitcom montages, you know? Yeah. Whatever happened to predictability?
Yeah, we'd be like perfect strangers.
Oh my God! I wish I remember the theme to that.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are tuning in, we have made it finally to episode 40 of the G's for Geek podcast. I'm your host, Charlie Radio Williams.
And this is SeanLuc, apparently the Latin lover Acevedo here, because, you know, we decided to bring that back.
First of all, let's just listen. Let's slow it down for the Geektopians. Geektopians, just like you call me Radio, we call him the Latin lover. We all know the origins of it. We all know. So, you know what? Before we get into today's show, Geektopians, Sean didn't want to talk about this, but I wanted to bring this up. Last week, when we had Law on the show, right, from the Nerds of the Round, I shot a promo about Sean Speedos. And this is a product that I do plan on working on, but Sean was in an accident this week. We were doing a photo shoot of him in the Speedos, and we didn't do quality control. And he went to go do a pose and he hurt himself. And if he's a little quiet today or a little antsy, it's because of that. All right?
Really? Really?
What? I'm just being honest.
I'm sorry. You telling me keep going back on the boardwalk before I even trip and fall onto the sand hard on my side? That was an accident?
I'm just saying, you know, hot boy summer's almost over. We were on the beach. I'm trying to get these Speedos out. I'm trying to get I know we keep talking about the SeanLuc calendar, which is a thing and it's going to happen. But as the Latin lover, I feel like we need to step up the product game. And other than Sketchfed shirts, we need to focus on SeanLuc Speedos or the Latin lover Speedos with your face on every pair.
Why?
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me say it. All right, let me do that one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by another one of the greatest co-hosts from the Nerds of the Round podcast. All right, this guy here. You know, I don't have words because I lost all my words last week with Law. I just lost all my words. You know. But we are going to bring on Tone from the Nerds of the Round podcast. Or better yet, Tone from across the hall.
Yo.
Did I say that right?
Yes.
Yo.
Yes.
Are you still really... Well, technically, you're not from across the hall anymore.
No, I am... I'm down the road. Make a left.
Listen, Sean, don't give it away. Yeah. People don't need to know that.
Yeah. So no longer across the hall since we moved out of the Bronx apartment, and me and Seabass are now in New Jersey.
Jersey. It's got to be Jersey.
Jersey, even though we're in South Jersey, so you know.
Oh, so you guys gone up and left Law? Y'all didn't even take him?
I mean, you know how it is. He knows what it is. He just comes. He'll come for food.
You guys are like...
I mean, if that's the case, I'll head over there too for food.
Yeah.
So does that mean in like 10 or 20 years, like you and Seabass are going to be like Steve from Blue's Clues and send Law a video like, hey, remember
No, I mean, if we just up and left and then Nerds of the Round just kind of was eliminated, then maybe we would have to do that. But because Nerds of the Round is still a thing and we still, play D&D once a week and we're still in constant communication, I don't think I need to worry about a Steve going to college sort of situation.
Yeah. That'd be heartbreaking. That would be heartbreaking.
Yeah, indeed.
Sean, if you left like Steve did, I would miss you.
Would you really? I mean, you'd probably replace me with someone better, probably.
Who would post for the calendar?
And Tone, we are taking we're taking applications. We're taking applications. Feel free to just drop by. Oh,
I love how you say that, knowing full well that Tone would be the better pick, because he is my favorite for the Nerds of the Round group.
Wow! I need to listen to this law episode to make sure you're not fucking blowing smoke up my ass and just saying that.
First of all, I have to ask a question. And I've asked Law a question. He went around. He was all over the place. He didn't want to answer it. There are 3 co-hosts. Mm-hmm. Which one of you is the main co-host? Listen, before you answer, feel free. Listen, it's okay. You're in a safe space. You don't have to be like, it's all 3 of us. It's all right. I'm going to ask Sebastian the same thing. Not trying to start drama. Wink, wink. Oh, wait. Sorry. Wink. It's kind of crazy. All right,
okay, Rocket, keep going.
But yeah, so which one? Which one uses
when you say co-host, all 3 of us are co-hosts. I'll give the political answer there. However, because Nerds of the Round was Sebastian's baby, and we all kind of jumped in at certain points, different times, and we were guest hosts of Nerds of the Round when he first started it with Geeks Unlimited. I would say that because he's the founder of it, so I would say the main host. I mean, even when we do our lives, he's the first one that says what's up, and he kind of had to give the announcements and stuff, and we each have our bits and pieces, but I'm not taking that away from the man. Like, this was his thing, and we jumped on to help, and it's kind of metamorphosized into what it is today, but we wouldn't have Nerds of the Round if it didn't start with Seabass.
All right.
Wow, okay. Look at you with the politically correct answer. All right, I see you. I see you.
I threw out a hard-hitting question right there, and it got answered. Yeah.
Yeah, this fastball down the middle, man. Like, that was easy.
Damn, he said your questions are easy.
Oh, well, man. I mean, because I think about it, when there's co-hosts, like, people might ask, like, who takes the lead? And even with G's for Geek, like, me and Sean, it's like a baton. I feel like when it's a good chemistry between the co-host, it's always a baton. There's episodes I come on, and I'm here, but I don't have the energy, and it's like Sean has that energy, and I'm like,
yeah, no, it's 100% that. Like, so in the dynamics of the podcast, yes, and I think if we were going to give it ourselves a title, sure, co-hosts, all 3 of us. But I think just because he's the brainchild of it, I can't not say that, like, he's like the original. But to your point, absolutely, we all pick up with each other, and it all starts with the chemistry of who you are going to do your podcast with. We all have friends that we're really close with, but we're not going to do a committed project with. We love them, and we have our things that we do with them, but, like, you find your squad to do your project with. And so I've been fortunate to know Law and Seabass, and we've been doing this for so long, and you guys have each other, and and like, you guys are like an old married couple, but, like, that's part of the charm of your group, of what you bring to the table, right?
Yeah,
so it works.
I was going to say that we get told that we're like an old married couple all the time, and sometimes I get scared of Sean. Sometimes he's a little, he hits a little too much, and I'm scared. So I have to watch what I say around him. I do. I really do. It's like a plea for help. So when you came on as a guest host. I think you guest host several times on the show before you transitioned to a full-time co-host. So what was that experience like? Like, was it something like you were like, oh, this is cool and I'm committed to this? Or you're like, I'm a little shy, I'm in a bubble, like...
So I would say it was just kind of cool. So the extroverted side of me kind of developed in, I would say, college, right? So kind of being involved in Greek life and just having a big social life. And like, that was all like new things for me because I came from an all boys high school and did all that. So college really kind of let me feel confident in my own skin. And so that's all kind of just cascaded down to where I'm at now. So when Seabass asked me to jump on to be a co-host, it really, not like a guest host, it wasn't hard. I was nervous in the fact that I don't want to mess up his show, but I felt comfortable enough to speak with him. And I think the first show I did was with Alex Sapunzi. So like, and kind of breaking into the industry. So it was like having a conversation with two people. And because I'm not an artist in the ways that they are artists, it felt like just easy way for me to be the eyes of the audience and just ask questions that I would like to know the answers to. And it was just a lot of fun. It was just having a conversation with friends and it's just very comfortable.
Well, what I realized, because I ended up binge watching quite a few episodes to learn as much. Wait, stop.
Wow.
Sean. Like, why, Sean? What was that for, right? If you're going to have a person on, you should spend time to learn that person.
Yeah, but you're just showing off now because we've listened to the episodes regularly.
Yeah,
like on a regular basis.
Listen, you guys jump on in our live shows. You know, you guys are giving commentary.
Look, the way I look at it is, Geektopians. Let's have a creep moment real quick.
Oh my God.
The best way to learn about somebody, watch them, their every move, learn their shoe size, clothes size, then slowly become them. You know?
Sure. I mean,
yeah, that was.
I deep dive. I deep dive as well with our guests, but I wouldn't put it that way. You know?
Yeah, I wouldn't talk about their shoe size like that.
Well, so watching episodes, I realized you are an ultimate moderator.
How so?
You really are, because and at first in the very early episodes, I noticed like you really didn't say much unless you were moderating, unless you were asking questions. And I think more when you got more into like the creative series or even like the recap series, that's when your voice really came out. And guys, if you're watching Nerds of the Round, I would say one of the most passionate co-hosts on the show would be you, because you really go into depth, whether if it's fan theory, whether if it's a recap on an episode. So you're kind of like, you're like an awesome moderator, but you're also like, hey, facts. Like you bring facts to the table, you know?
Yes. No, I definitely do that. When I am passionate, I am passionate. Mm-hmm. But when I don't care, I don't care. There really isn't much for me to provide. I think and that's really for the live shows when we like recap like a movie or something with Marvel or something we're watching or anything like that. Like I think that's kind of where it comes and goes. And I kind of do my little bits of research, or I'm watching other YouTubers because there are people who are way smarter than me that are finding nuggets that I just miss when I watch stuff. Sometimes I just do. But when we speak with people, when we were doing the interviews, that was definitely a learning process for me. Just the idea of interviewing people and asking the right questions and finding your cadence and finding that chemistry. That was just a muscle that we kept working. So I'm sure as you listen to the older Creator Series episodes to the newer ones, we feel that they progressively have gotten better in the way we work with the guest. And I try my best to. We try our best as a whole to, like, we have a laundry list of questions, but if we don't get through all of them, we don't get through all of them. We try to make sure we've got the questions to keep the conversation going in case it stalls, or if the person you're talking with is more of an introvert and you really got to pull some good nuggets out of them. But I like to either have something in the back of my mind from research to bring up or go based off what they're saying and form a question that way. And I think that's been a skill that I kind of just was able to work out by doing this. So I do get that in regards to like earlier on, I didn't say much because it's definitely true. There were some episodes where I didn't say crap. I was just like, I don't know what to say. I don't know when to jump in. I don't know if this question's kind of like silly or ridiculous or maybe just not coming in from the right perspective. And now it's very much second nature to me.
Well, I think that's good. Take it, Sean.
No, I was saying I think that's very good because you actually learned the pattern over time as opposed to just diving deep into it, just diving into the deep end. You took your time, and that's probably why now you're like the moderator compared to the other two, but you also provide your most, I think, and which is why you're my favorite, you provide a lot of the most informed opinions, right? And the most outlandish theories because they're based in thought, Yes, Sebastian's based on history, right? And comic book history and everything like that. But for you, you're like you really have like put thought into what you have said and what you're thinking about,
Mm.
and everything you say comes with a purpose.
Well, thank you. I
I
appreciate
think
that.
we should call you the more calculated one, the assassin.
That makes
Yeah.
There
sense.
you go.
Well,
The
There you
calculated
go.
one.
calculated. I don't know about assassin, but
The
calculated
calculated
definitely. I
one.
try to make sure that my
So,
my tone soapbox moments are filled with
well, I already told you,
with
you have the
knowledge.
buddy cop look. You have the buddy cop mustache, the glasses, the hat, like you were at the range. I'm saying, like, that's why I say you're the stealthy one. You know, the calculated one. You know.
All right.
All right, so
That's
we're
funny.
gonna. So you are the first guest that we've had on who is a father.
Oh, look at that.
So yeah. So a question that we always have, and I think this is something that even with the friends that we have who are parents, we tend to ask this. There was a time growing up that being a nerd and a geek for our parents, it wasn't really a thing. You know, there was this cloud of you need to fit into what is considered society norms, and I guess being a nerd or a geek was outside of society norms, and people just kind of treat it. Now that you are a parent and you're an avid fan, and it's safe to call you a geek or a nerd. Is that safe? Just want to.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah,
Keep going.
Well, I mean, you do go by nerds of the
Geek,
round, so
nerd, dork. I mean,
So-
people used it back then as like a thing. I'm like, you wear it on your sleeve. I mean, with all the crap that we're all into, I mean, how can you not?
You know what? I'm gonna get back to that, but keep going.
as, as a parent, when you look at your kids, how do you share your experience with them? I'm just gonna leave it there. How do you share?
Yeah, no. So just to give a little bit of backstory, I was fortunate enough that all of my stuff that I was introduced to came from my father.
Okay.
So my dad was into comics, was into video games, he was into anime, and like he was the one bringing that stuff home. I know I knew people who were into it, but their parents weren't. So I was, I just had privilege. I had that privilege that my parents were, able to take care of us and to take care of me and able to bring stuff home. My dad was able to buy all the systems, all this other stuff. Like I had all that stuff.
Okay.
But that's just because it was his passion too. So he's buying it for himself and just sharing it with me, right? Like I've got memories of the man having a fighting joystick for the Super Nintendo, double-sided sticky tape to the coffee table, attached to playing Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Damn.
And my mom would get super pissed because that stuff, the sticky tape, the double-sided sticky tape back in like the 90s was really good and would stick to the wood and the glass. Like that was always the thing. So all that stuff kind of came from him, and I kind of just took that upon myself. So all those, everything, like he went to Chinatown and got anime VHSs. I was watching Dragon Ball Z in kindergarten before it even came to the States. So like all that, I had all of that. So moving forward now with my son and my daughter, I kind of just brought them in by just putting the stuff on.
Okay.
Because it's so accessible at this point. Like there really isn't, it's so easy to watch. Back then, you had to catch it on the right channel. You had to have the VHS or the just have it at home. And now
You
we
had
have
to go to Chinatown.
Yeah, or go to Blockbuster or something. But now we've got Netflix, HBO Max, Hulu, Disney Plus, everything that we watched as kids and everything that's being created now, they can just consume it. And it's been a lot of fun. My son, my kids are really into The Mandalorian. Like they really got into it in season 2, and my daughter likes Baby Yoda and he likes The Mandalorian. They really love their DC and Marvel characters. My daughter loves Wonder Woman. My son loves Spider-Man. And so it's been great. I've just been able to share that stuff with him. I watch What If with my son. He's 7. He's kind of been like, why is all this stuff happening? But I'm like, it's another universe. But so it's been a really fun time to share that with them. I had a moment so during the summertime, because now we're in school, so they had their little Fire tablets, and it was like, all right, it's time to go to bed. And they were just watching stuff upstairs, and we're like, I'm like, my daughter comes out, she's like, she wants to go to bed. And my son is just not responding to anything. So I'm like hollering from downstairs, like, dude, you got to turn this tablet off. You got to go to bed. And I'm like thinking, what the hell is going on? Does he not hear me? Is he deaf? So I'm storming upstairs, like already dad mad, going up the stairs, like this boy better listen. And then as I'm going up, I'm hearing familiar audio. I'm like, what's he watching? And homeboy was watching Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith on Disney Plus, and it's the scene when Emperor Palpatine is telling Vader that in his anger, he killed Padme. And I'm like, and he passed out. So he's passed out on his bed with the tablet there, playing it, and all my dad anger just flew out of me, and I was just like, I'm so proud. I'm so proud of my boy right now. Like he's just falling asleep to Star Wars on the tablet. I can relate to that. Like he
didn't think that third movie was great.
But was there a part of you that was like, I should wake him up? He's missing a really good scene right now.
I mean, of all of the prequel trilogy, Revenge of the Sith is my favorite. I mean, there isn't a lot to pick from because there isn't, but I do have a soft spot for Revenge of the Sith because I can always watch it.
So now I have to ask this question: if you haven't done it, right? Have you convinced your wife to do a family cosplay? And if you haven't done it, what would you do a family cosplay of?
So I wouldn't say cosplay just because we don't go to like convention and stuff, but we tend to do this stuff for Halloween. So we try to do stuff in theme for Halloween. So we've done like Toy Story, where I was Old Prospector, my wife was Bullseye, my son was Woody, and my daughter was Jessie. And then I think 2 years ago, like right before the pandemic hit, we went to the Museum of Natural History, and he was Buzz Lightyear and she was Bo Peep. And then we were Ducky and Bunny from Toy Story 4. So yeah, so like we try to do stuff with them as a group. I think this past Halloween, we all got into like Winnie the Pooh onesies and we were just walking around our neighborhood. We went to like Seabass house and stuff. So we try to do the Halloween stuff together as a family and kind of figure out what the theme that they want to do, and we'll do it that way. The whole convention scene is just it's a lot. It's not really my wife's thing, which is fine. You know, maybe later on when things kind of get back to normal, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Then maybe I can take him to a convention. He wants to dress up. Well, I'm totally game to dress up. Have him dress up. My daughter dress up. Like they do dress up stuff. They've got all the toys and the accessories. So I think Batman is one he wants me to do. I think he wants me to be the Joker. I was the Joker a couple years ago before kids, when my wife and I went downtown for like the Halloween parade back when they would do that. But yeah, no, it's definitely something we can do. It's just it tends to be during Halloween just because it's the season.
That's fine. Hey, listen, family time is still family time, no matter what.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah,
indeed.
I mean, I get proud when I see little Sean's eyes light up, and he's like, Charles, I'm ready. Like, listen, because we're going to NYCC, variant Loki Sean needs to come. We need to.
I thought that was happening. I thought that was happening.
I thought it was happening too, based on Geektopians.
I will speak louder. That is not happening. I barely cosplay. Let alone having a Halloween costume of Loki on for a whole day.
That's a hot costume, and not hot in the good way.
Right.
Hot and sweaty.
And then recording as well.
Well, NYCC is during October, so we'll be in a fair weather time, you know.
What day of the week is that? I mean, not day of the week. What are the numbers?
The 9th through the 11th. I think it's the 8th through the 11th, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I'm gonna be in the city on the 12th.
Oh, right after.
Right after, I have a work thing, so I'm gonna be up in New York. Yeah.
We will be there.
You're gonna see all the drunk. You're gonna just see all the drunk cosplayers just recovering.
Maybe.
Awesome.
Because that's supposed to be a holiday, so.
We call that awesomeness. That's what we call that. Awesome.
Yeah, you guys have a booth? You guys are just going as participants and just going around with camera stuff?
It's going to be, I think this is the first con we'll be doing. Geektopians presents Quickertopians, and this is the first con that we're actually going to be doing. So, and I look forward to it in the sense of us trying to figure out this new sense of normal. What is this new sense of normal? Just hoping that the Delta variant doesn't get far worse, but you know, and just trusting the Javits Center and their safety precautions and that whatever, you know.
I mean, I went to a wrestling show very recently at Madison Square Garden, and they were very meticulous with the vaccination stuff. So maybe
Yeah,
Javits will be the same way.
that fine isn't looking good. Like when it comes to going into people's
Yo!
pockets, like
Mhm.
even with I know we try to stray away from certain topics, but just when you mess with the pockets, people just
Yeah.
be
Oh
like,
yeah, no,
I
you mess with
rather
the as they say, you mess with the bag, you ain't coming back. You ain't coming back
Yeah.
alive. Like
yeah.
Well, one of the things I do think about that I think it's safe for us to talk about it on a show because it's not really politics. It does deal with COVID. Is I do think about how COVID definitely interfered with indie creators. And I know you have a lot of indie creator friends, and that conversation has been like an ongoing conversation where, a lot of people transition. Even with Nerds of the Round, you guys went from being in person to I think the first video that I saw recently, and just recapping that you guys actually did a actual video online was kind of at the peak of COVID, and you guys did it's called oh geez, it's called like it's like safety, like the word is on the tip of my tongue, I can't even remember, but it's like 6 feet apart or something like that. But
Yeah,
it's the
yeah,
first
yes.
it's you got it's you Law and Sebastian speaking about like the early experiences of COVID. And I know like everybody has their story now, like everybody has like what they remember out of 2021. But as far as like being creative, like that's so interesting that a lot of growth came from, hey, we can't do cons anymore, how do we promote our work? And shifting over to a new medium of content creating, which is kind of like what we're doing right now. We can't be in person all the time, so we're now doing like pre-recorded, but we're using stuff like Zoom and StreamYard and so forth.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a transition. It was just kind of it's crazy to see what some of our indie creator folks have had to do. Like you're really like people are hustling because
mhm.
the whole game in Artist Alley is a hustle. Like you're there, like you're trying to pull people to come to your booth and to buy your stuff, especially if you're trying to stay away. Because I know like a lot of folks that we've spoken to don't like to do the fan art stuff. They want to really just want to push their own original pieces, and that in itself is like you got to get the person drawn in, and you got to have the really
Mhm.
good pitch to share what you're trying to create. So that person's like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna roll these dice with you. I'm gonna buy your book. I'm gonna read it, and you get yourself a fan. And those connections, those having that at the con is it's irreplaceable digital. I can't like we did INBEON CON. You guys were part. You guys were there, and we do the virtual cons and we do all that. But we know running INBEON CON like it's not the same. So what can
Mhm.
we do to provide you a similar or some kind of experience? Which is why we talked about like the pricing for tables it wasn't like crazy where some cons are doing like charging an arm and a leg for a virtual table, but there is no blueprint for success. At the end of the day, people are going to buy what they
Mhm.
want to buy, but the organization, the establishment that's working with you also needs to do their part to make sure you're being seen. So, talking with a lot of folks and figuring out how to transition into this COVID world has been very, very eye opening. And you're seeing a lot of people are still hustling. People are still getting their Kickstarters done and funded,
Mhm.
and they are not in person. It just has to do with those uh, grassroots hustlers, man. Like everyone we've spoken to who's had a Kickstarter get funded, it's because they are out there promoting, going on social media, going on different shows, and doing the work. It's not just an overnight success thing. It's just work.
And I think that's really like that's just beyond amazing. I think it shows that the fans are there. The fans are there. People want content. People miss cons, but I think people also miss the artists as well. And it's about just doing the work. Um, yeah, that's all I got on that. That's all I really got on that.
Hold on, guys. The kids are coming. Hold on.
We
Nice.
oh, it's that daddy life. It's all
Yeah.
right.
Hold on, guys.
We understand. So Sean,
Yes.
well, I guess we can do a small interlude here. Well, actually, let's recap. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're tuning in, whether on Google Play, Spotify, iTunes, and Stitcher, you're listening to the G's for Geek podcast. We are joined with Tone, one of 3 co-hosts of the Nerds of the Round podcast. Right now, he is handling some daddy business.
Well, as the dad of the group, he has to handle that. But yeah, no. And this episode is brought to you by the Pastor Rich Radio Williams audiobook. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever felt down? You ever felt alone? You ever felt the need to grow and feel strength spiritually? Then pick up your copy of Pastor Williams' Psalms of Geekdom.
Oh, wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is 2 solid hours of Pastor Radio Williams giving his impassioned words about geekdom, about nerddom, and even about dorkdom,
So
as it relates to us, the Geektopians.
Are we gonna start doing skits of us doing like nerd church?
You started this. You started this with me doing the speedos.
Ah, jeez.
So now we're just gonna go back and forth and just do promos about random stuff.
That is perfectly fine. I will tag on to this, ladies and gentlemen. If you in these 2 hours, you will have sermons such as in the name of Goku, the Almighty. You will have you can do it too. The Arc of Naruto Uzumaki. You will have with the power of friendship, which is definitely a strong thing, because the power of friendship solves everything. All right, it solves everything. There is not an anime that the power of friendship does not solve everything. I really want to find an anime that is so dark that the power of friendship, it's there, but it constantly gets spat upon, just constantly, and no matter what, like there's probably anime.
If you're out there and you know an anime in which friendship actually leads to more problems instead of solving them, let us know.
Well, like there's those animes where it's like the single guy who's surrounded by like 7 beautiful young women, and each girl that he encounters, he comes with different problems, right? And he ends up befriending them while also falling in love.
Isn't that the premise of Tenchi Muyo?
Yeah, it kind of is.
Like that literally is like the premise of Tenchi Muyo.
Is it called To Love? There's one that's about the girl is an alien who ends up in this guy's life. But yeah, like even Bleach isn't even like that. Naruto's not like that.
No, Bleach is definitely one of those power of friendship type shows. Because you got everybody, including the Hispanic Japanese guy that miraculously gets his powers from the Hueco Mundo. Because, Spanish.
What you just missed out on, Tone, is somehow it shifted from Sean doing a promo for the new Reverend Charlie Reverend Williams.
The Reverend
I'm sorry.
Pastor
go ahead.
Charlie Radio Williams' Psalms of Geekdom. It's a 2-hour audiobook filled with some of the greatest and most powerful words ever said from Pastor Williams, including the word of Goku. And apparently he goes on a nice little piece about the power of friendship, because apparently in anime, power of friendship solves all problems.
Everything.
It does. Unfortunately, it does.
It does.
And which I asked, I'm like, maybe you might know. Is there an anime where the power of friendship led to more problems instead of solving them?
I mean, it really depends on the themes of the anime. So a lot of those shonen animes are very much big on the whole friendship. Maybe Attack on Titan. Maybe
maybe
because they became friends with Bertloot and and Reiner.
In certain cases, like say for example, Misaka, like that is devotion times like 1,000.
Oh yeah, but that's biological. Like there's a whole like thing for that. But when you look with the Marleyans, where like their friendship brought them closer and disarmed them until the betrayal happens.
Okay, I can see that.
Okay.
Yeah,
The power of friendship.
yeah. Except
Yeah,
for Reiner, who goes through a whole crisis later on.
Listen, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about Levi and his indestructible ass, okay? Because that motherfucker seems to survive everything.
Oh, there goes the first F-bomb.
That's
Okay.
those Ackerman genes, man. Like they're something else in the Attack on Titan world.
Oh, sorry about using the F-bomb. I know we try to keep it PG.
Don't apologize. I think the Geektopians already know which one of us is the more calm, relaxed, and peaceful one. It's me.
The civil one?
It's me. Yeah, the civil one.
Really?
Yeah. You see how you're getting all crazy?
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I'm the more
Really?
I'm the one, and he's out of hand, and we got to get rid of him. You see, ladies and gentlemen,
you really be controlling the hand of God with that stuff, man. You just be taking them.
It's like. Let me admit this now. So Geektopians, you can't see this unless you're watching the YouTube, but on StreamYard, I'll send SeanLuc to the green room, and he's back. And there he goes.
I don't get you sometimes.
Ooh. Look, I try to behave. I wasn't.
But you know what? This brings a very interesting segue.
Power of friendship. And he's back.
Yo, what the hell, man? You just be just.
I'm just glad the people listening. I'm glad the people listening to this on Google, Stitcher, Spotify are now looking at the gestures that I am doing to you right now.
Well, I like to think that people who are watching this on YouTube are like, you know what, Charlie? At first, we thought you were being mean, but we get it. SeanLuc he's a terrible person. He's a horrible person.
Wow.
So is this why you aren't giving him the reins to StreamYard? Because all three of us have reins to StreamYard and can pull and push whoever we want.
Yeah, but you guys actually respect each other enough not to do that.
Law told me that. Law was like, yeah, listen, I'll answer your question, Tone. Before we move on. We move on to our next segment.
Okay.
All right. So it's not that I don't respect Sean. I have a lot of respect for him. It's just behind the scenes. Sean is a diva behind the scenes, and this one is me being completely serious. Whether if we're filming, whether if we're writing, he is a diva. All right, almost like a Stanley Kubrick to an extent. Almost like he's just like, what are all those facial expressions for?
We had the man live in Seabass's house, and it was fine.
Yeah, I was very humble, respectful, actually provided information to the conversation and not just talked about himself.
So what sucks is that we had SeanLuc, like Sean was like the last person we had on before we were like, and we're done with in-persons. And like it was when COVID was really avalanching. And,
I'm sorry to have cursed y'all.
No, it's fine. But it was just funny because like we didn't know Sean, so like Sean came in and like I shook his hand because like I'm gonna shake the man's hand, but then I held my hand out like this, and then I made a beeline to the bathroom, and I was like, shh, 20 seconds.
I feel like that every time I'm around him too. So
and then
but that was before COVID. You felt like that. So
here's what I will say, because I watched those episodes and I was upset. All right, Geektopians, if you don't know what I'm talking about, hop over to the Nerds Around. You can pause this real quick. We don't mind. Hop over to Nerds Around and watch the episode, the creative series with SeanLuc, and he's also on a part 2 of that as well. I wrote a whole list of things that Sean could say, and Sean threw it back in my face and was like, "I'm not doing this shit. All right, this is my show. It's my opportunity to stand alone." And he just went on it. He went on this whole tirade and a rant.
Excuse me. I gave praise to you. I gave praise to Jesse. I believe I gave praise to Hannibal as well. Okay, I gave praise to the team of Sketchfed Studios for providing me.
You see, always making it about himself. always just going on these rants about what he does and what he doesn't do. And it's just okay. He's back. All right.
Disappointing.
Okay,
cool. Man, yeah, you're really wielding that power, man.
Oh, he's got that power. Like, heaven forbid I get that. Like,
yeah.
But see, here's the difference. The worst part about it is I wouldn't do that to you.
You would. You would do it constantly. You would do
I
it.
would respect your authority.
Your level of petty would do it just. If I said the word "the," you'd be like, "Up, green room." If I said yes, green room. If I said Sean, you look nice today, you'd be like, green room. You would do it just because you have the power. I don't do it because I have the power. I do it because one of us needs to like moderate the conversation, keep things peaceful.
That's a nice way of saying I do it because I can.
Yeah, pretty much.
It
That
is.
is like the ultimate way of saying that. Like,
It is. Sean, do you have the questions up on your end?
so let's go into a little segue here, actually. So once again, we talked about INBEON CON, but one thing we didn't talk about yet was that you were actually a host for a couple of panels.
Mhm.
So obviously, we were in one of the panels, and I think you did an amazing job. How did it feel to be just like a moderator, literally for a group, and not be with your co-host, like literally just manning it on your own and managing so many people at one time?
It was fun. I'll be honest. It was fun. It was a little different. You know, when we did the show last year, the cadence was the three of us were moderating one panel at a time, and it felt we didn't feel as connected, because there's a difference when the three of us are doing an interview with someone. There's a back and forth. We can do a back and forth even if it's four people. Here, the panel, we want to. One of the things I don't like about some of the Comic-Con panels is that you'll have a crap ton of guests, but you'll mostly hear from 4 or 5 of them, and then you get the other auxiliary players. You'll hear them in more of like the fan questions. Like they'll get a question here and there, but it's really like the main people, right?
Yeah.
And so for us, we want to make sure like we'll give questions, and we write all the questions out, and we're giving all the questions. We're giving everyone an opportunity to answer those things, and it just kind of does a round robin of us answering the question, maybe doing a little bit of feedback back and forth. And it just felt like we weren't able to participate, because if Seabass is asking a question, then me and Law are just like looking and kind of nodding, and it would kind of go around in a circle. So this time around, also just to make our lives a little bit easier, we decided to break it up. And Seabass picked some really good panels for each of us to moderate based off our strengths. So I did the marketing and I did the getting into podcasting panel. And it was cool. I got to build up my own questions, and I kind of knew everybody essentially. And I built it out in a way that I wanted to have questions that everyone can answer, but I also wanted to have questions that are specific to the people, like the specific guests, so we can get some really good information from them, like on what they do. And it was really good to do that for the marketing panel, because each of the people we had on, we had Wayward Raven and Tom Aglio. We were supposed to have some other folks on, but they weren't able to join us. They use different forms, social medias and different things, and you really can't get that unless like you cater a question to them specifically. And I think as long, so it was fun to do that. And I had a lot of fun. I felt like it was a really good conversation. We got some really good nuggets. We were able to squeeze some good information out there. And even in the podcasting one too, we just had a lot of fun. I had a feeling it was just going to be like a shoot the shit sort of situation with us and Catch the Craze and Leslie and all that. But it was still a good time. We had fun, and we'll see what happens.
I actually learned a lot. Like if you look at if you look at the panel, that is literally on live right now on INBEON's YouTube channel, you can literally see me writing the notes, as I'm learning and listening to Leslie and Catch the Craze about the questions that you were asking, because these were very poignant questions. And I'm happy, I'm happy none of us threw the F-bomb that entire episode.
I know.
Right? It was like a miracle. And 2, I like the questions that you had, because even though they sounded similar, they were vastly different. Because each aspect of podcasting, in our case, each aspect of podcasting has its own, branch, if you will, its own multiverse, as we go with the What If and Loki series, when it comes to like furthering the future of what you want to do.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, so like it was one of those things where you want to ask the generic questions that everyone's always going to ask you. But how do you like finalize it? What's the thing that we can get that because I knew each of your podcasts were vastly different. Catch the Craze is different from you guys, from what Leslie's doing. Like, just they're all vastly different. But if you just go off with, tell us about a podcasting, odds are we have so many people, we had like 5 people on there. You may get similar answers, or you'll get the patented, oh man, I don't really have much to add on to there, so I'm just going to piggyback off of what so-and-so said, but not piggyback in a way of contributing and adding more, but because that person answered the question really good. And so you really have nothing to dare, and that there's nothing to bring it back to your original IP. Because like you said, there's so many podcasts. Everyone has a podcast. Yeah. Like, everybody does. So like what makes yours unique? So that's why I really want to focus in on like, who's your target that you're trying to hit, and like, what are you trying to do there? So, and that's why I had that final question too, of like, aside from commitment, what else would you recommend? Because we've asked that before, and you'll get commitment times 3.
Yeah,
Like it's
you
just,
got to stay committed. You got to make sure you have the drive, and I'm happy for that because each one of us, every single one of us had something similar. Like we all expanded upon, but had something different to say.
Yeah.
I just want to add in there because me and Sean were talking about this afterwards. We were having our own little meeting. It was like, yeah, we didn't go wild on this episode. Like and even when you were like, hey, you kind of set the tone. You were like, here's the question. Like you was like, you guys can go wild. Just remember, we have a time frame. And the whole entire time, I was like, don't say anything crazy, Charles. Don't say anything wild. All right, keep it tame. Keep it tame. So I just remember that. That was very important.
No, it was a good time. I mean, the whole point was for, people who were trying to get into podcasting, if that's who was listening in, just to get some really good knowledge from people who are podcasting and doing the whole grassroots type of sort of thing, Yeah. I mean, the whole point is like, what are some key things that we can all work on? Commitment is one. Having solid audio is another. Like there are some key things that we can all do, you don't have to worry about spending a crap ton of money, but just putting little bits of investment here and there, and then making sure you're podcasting about something that you care about. Because if you're just podcasting to podcast about something just to see if it'll go somewhere, you don't know. But if it's about a topic that you're really passionate about, that you really love, and you have your own voice, and you've got your own personality, I mean, hell, that's why people watch Twitch streams. It's either A, you're really good at the game and people want to watch you just boss the game, or 2, you have a fantastic personality and people have a really good time hanging out with you and you're just playing the game. And I think, and I'm sure there's other spectrums in there too, but like that's what I tend to see when it comes to content creators on Twitch. It's like either they're kicking ass or you're just there for fun.
Gotcha. Oh,
yeah.
Very interesting.
All right,
Mr. Radio?
Geektopians, because we have Tone on, we're going to play a game tonight. This game is called Who Knows Tone? From across the hall, the best. Tone versus SeanLuc. I'm going to ask 3 questions.
Is this payback for against livers?
How's this payback?
I will vehemently say yes. Yes, revenge. For those who don't know, this man beat me in a contest, in a drinking contest, right? To which poor Charlie Williams over there, right, was like hunched up, done, and like dying because I failed to answer simple Star Wars questions in time.
No,
and
Sean,
of course, I didn't know that much about Game of Thrones, so he kind of wrecked me on that one.
No, Sean. As much as we give the nerds of the round a lot of credit, they cheated. They were cheaters. They had the questions, but tonight we will not cheat because we are honest to good folk.
Really, you binge watched episodes that I've had for about a year and a half that I have not watched.
Well, you were there. You were there, right? So the first question for tonight. Okay. So first question is on Nerds of the Round, episode Nerds Avengers, Infinity Talk. Who did Tone once think was going to die in Infinity Wars? A. Iron Man. B. Vision. C. Captain America. The first one that answers gets the point.
Captain America.
That was Sean. Sean got
that was
answer.
awful. You know what? This is rigged. This is rigged.
Sean got that answer. That's what I heard
rigged.
there.
This is rigged.
Why did you think Captain America?
So everyone knew that Steve Rogers, that Chris Evans was done with the contract. So like essentially when you talk about like coming with facts, the idea is, well, we all know Chris Evans has consistently said that this is going to be his last like hurrah. So I figured, well, what are we going to do? I mean, like there's storybook lines of Cap being killed and all this stuff. And it makes sense that he's the hero and he's the person that would give himself up to protect the universe. And this is Infinity War or Endgame?
This was Infinity War.
So, and then Infinity War, you kind of had a feeling that something was going to happen at the end. Like, I didn't know if they were really going to do the snap. Like, we all wanted the snap, but we didn't know if they had the balls to do the snap. So
now we know better.
Now we know better, right? But when it happened, I was like, oh. And so that's why I was like, oh, Cap. I would say Cap. Like, because I would never have thought Tony was going to die in Endgame. It was always going to be, I was thinking just Cap because with Chris Evans, and it just made sense for him to sacrifice himself. But instead they gave him that happy ending that ultimately he deserved. So, but that's why I said with I was with Cap. Vision was a good one just because the Mind Stone had to come eventually. And,
I knew Vision was not going to make it.
So Vision was a throw-in answer. That wasn't even on the list. That was a throw-in. So I'll give you that one. All right, but Sean still has the point.
Whatever.
Okay, so the next question. The next question, right? In the episode, How We Got Into Comics, during a segment of Poops and Giggles, Tone asked the question, Is there a time you fanboy at a con to the point of embarrassment? If not, who would it be? Tone answer was A, Joe Madeira, B, Greg Capullo, C, no one.
No one.
Oh, okay. I'll give you that one. I heard your voice.
I said it first.
I'll give you that one. All right.
You should have said an actor because I wouldn't fanboy over artists and writers. I love some of their work, but like it's just not my.
Who would you fanboy over?
In general, James Earl Jones and Mark Hamill, definitely.
Oh.
Just James Earl Jones, like he's the voice of Mufasa and Darth Vader. Like I don't like, and I say this, I don't know if I would like get the giggles or whatever, but I would be like, if there was an opportunity to meet him, shake his hand, take a picture, I would do it. Like I would be like, I want to do this. And now I just want to meet Josh Brolin so he can sign the Infinity Gauntlet because I have, oh my goodness, his name is slipping my mind. The creator of Thanos, Jim Starlin. Oh. I met him and he signed the glove, so I would want Josh Brolin to do it too.
And you, Sean?
Me, so I'm not big on fanboying at all. Like I'd be a little struck, but I literally, come back to earth and be like, okay, they are human beings, and I guess that's for me always. It's just always that thing where it's like they're human beings first, they're celebrities second, right? But the only person I would have ever actually fanboyed, and rest in peace, would have been Eddie Guerrero, which is the person that inspired me, for wrestling, inspired my gimmick, inspired my name actually for the wrestling and for here. Eddie Guerrero would have been that one person, would have been like, oh my God, I just need to I need to talk to you, have a picture with you, conversate, have a drink. Like I just need to learn what's in your head.
Okay.
Yeah. My thing would be like, I would want to, go out with this person. Like, who would I want to go out with? That's a different story. So like, if I had to pick an Avenger to go out with, I'd be like, Jeremy Renner. I think I can have a good time with Jeremy Renner. I
honestly would pick Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo would be good too.
My person is not even in the Marvel pick. Okay, and since you brought up a second question there, so a person that I would geek out over, Edward James Olmos, who played Captain Adama from Battlestar Galactica. Like, I think if I was at a con and I saw him, I would just.
Isn't he there like all the time though?
Nah, I don't think so. The person that I would
JDF. He's always there. He's always there.
JDF always there.
Always there.
Lou Ferrigno's always there.
Yeah.
Lou Ferrigno's always there. The person I would geek out with, but want to have lunch with, Avery Brooks. Commander Cisco.
Yes. Captain Cisco.
I would want to have
put respect on his name.
Yeah. So I would want to sit at that table with all four captains.
Four.
Yes, five,
there's
four.
Technically now there's six.
Who? Oh,
because you have Picard, Kirk, Cisco, Janeway. Now you have Pike.
You forgot
and then I'm trying to remember the captain's name for Discovery. Besides
Enterprise, you totally skipped Enterprise.
Yeah, everyone skips Enterprise.
I loved Enterprise. I loved Enterprise. It's
everybody, including its own show, skipped Enterprise with Scott Bakula's character.
You know what's cool? That we just kind of segue into the third question
nice.
by doing this. Okay, so
I don't have a Star Trek fandom, but okay, let's see.
So, Tone is after asking this question and to one of your co-hosts, Tone is known to say the following on almost every show. How incredible Castlevania was. B, Berserker getting a proper adaptation from Powerhouse.
B.
And C, we don't need to talk about the last season of Game of Thrones.
Oh, that's all of the above.
It's B and C. It's
Actually,
B and C.
It is a trick question. It is all of the above. It is D. All of the above. You didn't let me finish the question. You didn't let me finish.
First of all, I am not always saying Castlevania is an awesome show. I love Castlevania, but I am not always saying it. Berserk, I have a fucking soapbox, and we do not talk about the last season of Game of Thrones.
So you know what's funny? That and I asked Law that last question, and Law gave me those three, and he literally was like, "Yeah, he has a soapbox for that one." So, but this was a good game, Sean. You got 2 out of 3.
It was bullshit, but okay.
Yeah,
Tony, you got 1.
Fair and square, baby. One fair and square.
This was amazing.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, I wish I had more questions, and I just don't. I think this was a great segment, and you're all great winners in your own rights.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is approaching that 1 hour mark.
Apparently he has to go Betty bye.
Ooh,
Yes,
You?
I don't have to. First of all, we did like an hour and 45 minutes. I think it was like an hour and 15 minutes with Law. Like
50 hour 50.
I'm a grown man, you know.
No. Also, technically, I had to go upstairs, so like
Yeah,
I didn't get a full hour. You know?
Yeah, that's
Oh.
very true. That is very true. Yeah, we're stealing time from him.
Well, all right. So I know you have some questions for us. Let's shoot the shit. Let's dive into it. Yeah, that's why I said it. Let's dive into it, Sean.
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. I'm just saying. I'm just saying the person just celebrated his 15-year anniversary. You know, I wouldn't want to steal his gimmick.
It's not stealing a gimmick. You the last episode you screamed at like 4 times, and me and Law was like, "What are you talking about?" All right. And then I listened to Philip DeFranco's episode. I'm like, there's a clear difference between saying, "Hey, let's dive into it," when you're talking about a individual topic, and then I have a guest on the show, or we have a guest on the show. I'm like, "Hey, let's dive into this person." I mean, which also sounds.
Whoa, hey, yo.
Hey, we don't do those type of jokes here. All right.
Hey, yo, really? We don't?
No, we don't do those type of jokes here. All right.
We've been doing those type of jokes.
Oh man.
The views and opinions expressed here does not reflect the views and opinions of Sketchfed Studios. Just want to put that in there.
This is ridiculous.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, once again, it is a shoot.
Sure,
podcast,
buddy.
And we this is what we do. We come, and it's like therapy. And we hope to bring more guests on and deep dive into them. Pause. And figure out what makes them. You know what, Tone? What makes you tick, Tone? What makes you tick?
Jeez. So I guess it's twofold, right? So professionally, what makes me tick is I need to sustain my family.
Okay.
That is the number one goal.
Family man.
I always think of the Chris Rock skit. I mean, and this is my family is amazing. My wife and my kids are amazing, and they're very appreciative. But I always think of the Chris Rock skit of, you know, when he talks about dad, and he always talks about like, who you thinking when the electricity is on, you know, and the heat and the gas and all this other stuff. It's just like, because, you know, those are the bills that we pay. Like I'm not cooking dinner. My wife makes amazing food, and she's always providing for us. So. But when it's like, yeah, well, you want to go upstairs and you want to play in the middle of the night and you got lights, that's because dad. But it's really just, what am I doing to keep everyone going? Like, how am I improving myself professionally to get myself to the next level, to provide for my family, to get us as a family to the next level? Okay. And so that's the kind of what makes me tick professionally, which is like why I don't have a lot of side projects or anything. Like Nerds Around is like my one thing.
Okay.
You know, like Seabass does a lot of his art, and he's got his comics, and he's doing all this. Law has a number of projects. He's doing Twitch. He's got his book. He's doing a bunch of different things. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's Nerds Around, and then just playing D&D, because I'm not even DMing, because I'm like, I just don't have the bandwidth to do that. Professional, extracurricular wise, so like the extracurriculars that we do, the driving force and making me tick force is just to make sure we are enjoying what we do and we're having a good time. So there was a time where we were feeling a bit burned out from the creator series, and not because of the people, because we love the people that we meet, but we were straying away from what we originally got into Nerds of the Round was, which was to geek out about specific topics and things that we're watching or experiencing. And we found a way to finally do that with the live show and all that, because that's kind of when we felt like we really got our stride. And so I always want to make sure that we are enjoying the topics that we're talking about, and we are having a good time, and we are making sure that the guests that we have are comfortable and they have a fun time and they want to come back on. Because the best compliment that we can get from a guest is that you guys made the show very comfortable for me, and I had a great time, and I want to come back. And we've heard that a number of times. We've heard that from people who've never done a podcast before, or from people who are a little bit more introverted or whatever. And we always just want to make it a safe space for you to talk about your topic, and no one's judging. We just want to learn about you and what your art is, or your work, or what you're writing, or whatever the hell you're doing, and just have a good time. That's it. Like there's really no rhyme or reason aside from that. We are not making millions and millions of dollars. We're doing this for the love of it and for the fun. And like we've had some really great conversations with people. We've had some really good guest commentary, and it's been worth it.
I really do love listening to creators talk about burnout. So let's deep dive into that for a second. Me and Lo and Sean were talking about this in the last episode too, about the mental health and making sure that you're focusing on yourself. But burnout can be one of those things where you're just like, you want to create and you want to, but you don't want to, like you said, you don't want to lose focus. You don't want to get to a point where you already know that the work that you're doing is similar to that of a job. But when it starts to really feel like it's a job, and it's no different than what you do in your personal life, that mental strain of like, okay, this went from being a positive outlet to now I'm questioning, why am I doing this? And my suggestion for people with burnout is, and I'm always going to keep repeating this, it is okay to take a break. If your fans that follow you, I believe that they respect you, if they understand that you are a human being too, do not feel like you do not have it in you to just take that break and say, hey, be honest with your fans. Be like, hey, we need to take a break. We want to continue to put out good shows, be the best creators that we can be, but we'll be doing a disservice if we do not take that break and just either restructure or just take a moment.
Yeah, no, 100%. So it kind of comes down to that, because the creator series, while it's great and we love the people we talk to, that's the show that requires the most effort.
Okay.
Because it's not, when you watch something or you have a specific opinion on something, it very much is a go with your gut sort of thing. That's what we try to do. And really, I enjoy watching all the other external pieces. So like when we do What If, and I enjoy watching all the other things of what people are thinking and reading Reddit and kind of getting my theories and getting my understandings to bring to the table. So that's kind of an enjoyment for me. It's the second half of watching these shows, is that other bit, right? So it's going to happen whether we're talking about it on the air, or if I wasn't talking about it and I didn't have a show, I would still do it. Kind of just part of the process. Where the creator series, we need to put the work in. If we know someone's coming on and we do not know them aside from them reaching out to us, you gotta read their stuff, like, because you disrespect the person's time if you're not reading their stuff or looking at their stuff or whatever they send you. You got to put the time in and research it and look at it, because that's a disrespect of that person's time. It's a waste of their time if they're going to come on your show and do you the honor of being on your show. It doesn't matter what their audience is or what they're bringing. The fact is they're taking time out of their day to come talk to you, so you do your job and read their stuff. So you read it and you want to make sure you're giving it the attention it deserves, because people put their blood, sweat, and tears into this stuff, and you get your questions down and you get your topics and all that. And then when you do that consistently, that's the part that feels like a job, because it's our job as hosts to make sure we provide a good space for you. So we're going to ask, you're going to come in and you're going to talk about what you're working on. But once we get past that point, we now need to look at your comic or whatever you're working on and pull the little bits that maybe you put there, or our interpretations, and just to get the conversation going and pull those influences. And that only comes when you put the time in and go over the work that was provided to you. So when you do that consistently over and over and over again, it does become like work and tiring. And it's like, all right, well, let's take a break and let's refocus, or we've got a bunch of these in the back, so let's take a break from creator series and like focus on the live shows, and these are going to come out at a cadence sort of pace, and then we'll come back to it. So, we've got creator series up until December, and then we've kind of retired the series, and we're trying to figure out a different way of plugging it, more so for people coming on the live show and talking about what they're working on for like the first 15-20 minutes, and then we go into whatever we're talking about for the evening. And I think that's kind of like a happy medium for us or whatever, and maybe do a creative series here or there if like it calls for it, but it wouldn't be as rampant as it has been before. And that was a decision that we made just because it ends up being we were just doing a lot, and so we want to make sure we're putting the time in and reading everyone's stuff and giving that the respect it deserves, because you find some really fantastic artists and creators out there when they reach out to you. Gotcha. So maybe then we do an hour-long show, but we get them on and we still talk about their work, and that works for both of us too.
Okay. Well,
I'm sorry, real quick, not to cut you off, because I want to.
No. Take it.
I want to ask a very interesting question. This is a question I'm going to ask you, and I'll probably ask Sebastian as well. Do you guys feel like if there's an artist that you don't know, because majority of the artists based on networking and stuff like that, but there may be an artist, there may be a podcaster, there may be a TV personality, whatever, that you don't know, right? What's easier? Asking them, okay, give us your social media handles so we can look at what you do, or give us like a one-pager or a resume so that we can see what you're about?
We tend to ask for a press kit if they have it. So we'll do that. Okay. So, and I'm sure Steve Ass will tell you the same thing. It helps. Some people have a more defined press kit. Some people just kind of send us links, and that's fine too. Everyone is kind of in the spectrum of where you are on the professional sense of what you're creating, and that's fine, because we just want to be able to read something or look at something. So as long as you have something for us to go over, for us to bite into and get, then, because that's where our stuff comes from. So if we find you on YouTube, cool, we'll watch your YouTube stuff. If it's all on Instagram, it's on Instagram. If you've got a couple PDFs that you don't mind sharing with us, that obviously we will not share with anybody else, so we can read your work, cool. And then we'll go over the Kickstarter and see. So we do that. We tend to ask that, and then that stuff tends to be in there in the press kit. So either it's like a Dropbox folder, or it's a PDF, like you said, which links out to specific things. But the press kit tends to be the best. And then if someone has other stuff to provide us, we'll definitely take it.
Well, I think that's interesting. To tack on to that, I think another way to do it is, and I'm going to use this name. I don't follow this person as much, but when I got into podcasting, I really admired them. And that's Joe Rogan. I think I've said this on the podcast in the past. Like, I really admired the fact of, if you listen to him over the years, how he got used to interviewing people. And I think one thing is, if there aren't press kits, to your point, Tone, something you said earlier is taking that time to ask questions or writing down questions. One of the things that I really do like with G is for Geek, of us being a geek, a shoot-to-shoot show, it's not really, for us, it's not really more about like, hey, we want to bring you on, what's your press kit? Like, I think we want to kind of step away from, okay, there are all these other channels and all these contents where this person is going on and they're really just talking about their work. But what about the person? What is about the individual? So that's our stitch. Our stitch is like, we want to learn about you at the same time that our audience is learning about you, without having to have like this great pamphlet of information. But once again, it works differently for different shows. So like your show, there's it around where like, that level of homework has to be there. And it's kind of the same thing with Geektopians. When we do a Geektopians once a month, as much as we would love to do a Geektopians every week, the responsibility and honesty to people who are watching is us doing the work of the research.
Yeah.
You know, because if you're talking about stats and statistics and you're citing stuff, you don't want to put out something, especially in this era of misinformation, or this era where some people may take a topic that they feel that they're comfortable with, but they don't dive deep enough to give all the facts to why they're presenting this topic. So I can kind of see that too from a different scope, where if you're going to have guests on, you kind of have to always return back to the foundation of, oh, this is the foundation of what makes this show, you know. But there is a level where you do get burnt out quick, because there's, with Geektopians, you know, it could be like, oh, editing can burn you out,
Writing a
the
script
research can burn you out.
Yeah.
Listen, when we first started, right, there were a couple episodes where I'd have to write a full script, and I'd be writing 11, 12-page scripts, and I'm like, yo, I can't do this. Like, I can't even like speak into this like this, right? So it'd have to be condensed. I'd have Charlie, and at the time we'd have Jesse and a bunch of others look at it, edit it, try to condense it, you know, just to make it more digestible. But having that back and forth, after a while it becomes draining. Plus, dealing with your day-to-day, if you will, you know, and having that consume your life, that also becomes a draining part. You know, because now it's like, okay, I want to be creative. I want to do something. I want to sit down and do the research, just doing the research. But my job made me worn out. Like, it made me just want to go to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's 100%. So like so that's, you know, that's what happens when we do the live, because the live is like the sense of release, right? It's our weekly hangout to talk about something we are all excited about. So like there's a little bit that goes into it, but really we're just there to hang out and talk about what we feel and what we're talking about, and kind of pulling things here and there. Obviously, there are other shows online that are really bigger on the research end of that, and they're really grabbing all those nuggets and all those connections and all those lines. But we've come to the conclusion that's not the stick of the show. We're nerds around. So the whole idea was that a bunch of nerds can sit around the table and talk about a topic. And everyone has their personality, everyone has their thing they bring. And so like Seabass, you know, is always citing all the comic books he read, which I have not read all those comic books. I will not read as many comic books as Seabass. Where for me, it's like I'll do my research and watch my stuff, and then there are certain comic book properties that I am all in on. So like when Invincible comes back, or when The Boys comes back, like I've read all of that, and I'm in the Reddit, and I watch everything I can. So I've got like this really high-end knowledge of it that I can really dive into. So I think, and so you know, versus the other half of the show is, you just do a lot of research and a lot of time and a lot of efforts going into it, because it's not just a hangout session. Like it's a product that, you know, that we're doing with outside people, and especially if we never met them before. So that Nerds of the Round episode that they do with us, that live, that pre-recorded show, it tends to be, aside from email correspondence back and forth, that's their first time meeting us, unless we know them already. So like if we've had you guys on, we'll have Catch the Craze on. We know them already. They've been on Nerds Around, so they're just kind of transitioning over. But some of the other guests we've had on Nerds on the live show were former or previous guests for the Creator Series. And me and Law, sometimes the connection is Seabass. So Seabass knows them. Me and Law don't know them. And so their first, you know, thing with us is that show. So we still need to do the damn thing to represent ourselves in the correct way, so that person is good with us. And that's you know, and that takes work too, you know, and because like you got to make sure you're doing the right thing. You know, you still have fun, and you still have your personality, and you cuss, and you do all other stuff, but you know, it's different. They're vastly different. You got to prepare for them in different ways.
Quick promo real quick while we're at it. Ladies and gentlemen, Geektopians, Sebastian from Nerds Around, he's going to be on in about 2 episodes. He's a role, like, if you're looking for somebody who is to take pointers of like research, reaching out, networking, he is the man. But when you look at him on camera sometimes, he looks really drained. He doesn't sleep. He doesn't sleep. If he's watching this right now, I'm putting you on blast. I'm putting you on blast. You don't
Indeed.
sleep. You feed off the souls of bottles of alcohol. So Geektopians, if you want to support this man, send him 6 packs. What's his favorite beer, Tone?
You can get him the Broken Skull IPAs. They are the Stone Cold Steve Austin beers.
Those come in 6 or 4.
They come in 4-packs because they were IPAs and they were 8%. So he will go through a bunch of those and he'll be good to go. And I'm sitting there drinking my 6-pack of Shandies that are like 5%, and I'm good to go. I'm ready to go
all
home.
I'm hearing is, oh hell yeah!
So you heard it here. Send him that. I think for each bottle he consumes, it just rejuvenates him and brings him back to life. And he's a happier and better man. And Tone doesn't have to say it, and Law doesn't have to say it, but sometimes they're scared. Sometimes they're worried that he's going to like just vampire burn out, and we don't want him to go to dust like the Snapped or like ashes. So send him a 4-pack. Tell him Charlie Williams recommended. Yeah, and while you're over there, watch their show, Nerds It Around. Catch it on YouTube, Spotify. #free plug. All right.
I appreciate that. Thank you. But yes. Send him some Broken Skull IPAs. He will be great. He'll be very happy.
He's gonna watch this. He's gonna watch this, and he's just gonna be like, "What are you doing, guys? What are you doing?"
Well, that I hope he doesn't come on the show and be like, "Listen, Charlie, thank you, but I haven't received not one beer. Your fans are horrible. Where's this beer? Like, listen, Geektopians, all right? They're good people. They're hardworking people. They get there. They get there when they get there.
Listen, they're just the regular Joes, GI Joes like the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
Going out there knowing half the battle, right? And they're just trying to make it day to day. Trying to fight the cobra that is the man. That is the system.
I just want to let you know I had an itchy finger right now, Sean.
I bet you did.
I had an itchy finger, but this isn't about us. This is something you just said, Tone. I wanted to tag on before we head on out of here. So with us, we're networking now to get people on. Like I said, with G's for Geek, we wanna shoot the shit. We want to talk about people, their artwork, their creativities, but also talk about daily stuff, their lives and stuff like that. I think that's going to be one of the interesting things for us, that we're networking with people who don't know us, and hopefully they get to walk away and say, you know what, that was an interesting show. Not a great one, not a positive one. Just those two guys. They should seek therapy. Like.
Oh, then they really need to listen to our old stuff.
I mean, everyone needs to seek therapy. So,
I feel like everybody's old episodes is like one of those. Y'all needed therapy episodes.
Yeah, that Charlie Williams, okay guy, but that SeanLuc's a narcissist. He just talks about himself and just keeps talking and talking and talking. I don't know how Charlie Williams put up with him so much and for so long. I don't know.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done. And this is the moment where if you had the power to send me to the green room, you would.
Actually, I wouldn't. I wouldn't, because I would drive the conversation back to Tone.
But I have the power. I have the power to do it.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
All right, man, relax.
All right, so I'm done. That was my last one for the night, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my goodness.
So
there's a question in there, right? Like,
yeah, there was supposed to be a question in there. Like, he was over here ranting, like he was like, "Oh, I gotta do one more thing." You just got lost in your own conversation
because I'm gonna rant about that. That's not even a question. You know what I realized? I keep telling you this. I keep going through brain fog now, and I don't know if that's because I'm approaching 40. I don't know if I need to be diagnosed, but there's moments that I'm like in the middle of a conversation. And I'm like, oh, I can't remember what I was saying. And it's happening more and more now.
That's COVID, man. COVID has this past like year and a half or whatever. Like the time has like come together. Like it's just, we got to March. I was like, oh yeah, I've been working from home for an entire year. And it just feels like it's been a year. It's been a year of this crap. And we're going back into the fall, and the school's back in session, and football's starting, and people are trying to treat it like the world is back to normal. And
and it's
like,
not.
and it's
No.
it's so it kind of just feels like it all just feels meshed up, you know. And even when you look back at pictures, like,
Oh,
and
geez.
it's only been a year. It's only been a year and change, a year and a quarter. And you look back at pictures and you look at all the things you're doing, like, holy shit, would I not be doing that right now?
Well, being on the East Coast, and whether if you're talking about New York or New Jersey, I feel like we have a level of PTSD that we haven't even begun to talk about. And one thing I know I can share with you guys is I remember maybe when we got more into like September of last year, I started to notice sirens were triggering, because I remember for at least a good 3 months every night, that's all I
spring.
heard were sirens. And even now at late at night when I hear sirens, I kind of have a moment where I'm like, I kind of shuddered to myself, and I'm kind of like, oh geez. But that's one of the takeaways. I
So we
think
moved.
20 yeah, well, good.
It's- so I moved.
2020 is like the snap. 2021 is like how people are freaking out because everybody returned.
Yeah. So now, what are you saying? 2022 is the official blip?
No, 2020 was the blip. 2020, no, sorry, 2020 was the snap.
2021 is the blip, because the blip is
Yeah.
when everyone comes back.
Yeah, we're in the blip now.
You know?
Gotcha. So now the chaos is ensuing.
Indeed.
And as a person who works in the education field, I can literally tell you that that's actually accurate.
Oh, dude,
There are kids.
It's nuts.
There are kids, because we've been gone for officially a year and a half, right? There are kids that we saw tiny that grew up to be really like big dudes, right? To be like some like tall females. Like, it is ridiculous. It is literally like in Spider-Man Far From Home in the beginning, when they talk about that 5-year difference where those that stayed grew, but those that were like in stasis didn't. That's
Yeah.
exactly how it feels right now in schools, or at least in our school. It might be in some in other schools. If there's any Geektopians out there that are educators, please let me know if you felt this way, right? Or if you feel like you're just happy to be back in the classroom.
Oh, like your students are coming back, like they got like fuzz on their face, they got deep voices.
Pretty much, yeah.
They're looking like first
Hey,
year.
what's going on, Mr. Acevedo?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, yo, what's up, Sean? What the?
Yeah.
Like, who are you?
They come to classroom, somebody's like, "Oh, it's our sub." No, I'm your classmate. No, like,
Yeah.
Like, you about to call out AA Ron today? No, I belong in the classroom. I am Malake.
So stupid. I don't know why I'm laughing at that AA Ron.
No, it's definitely true. The whole PTSD thing, like, even, you know, I'm sure, you know, there are people who look at it like we're crazy and we don't know what the hell we're talking about. But in the Bronx and all this, and you're watching, you're looking at all the Twitter and you're looking at the news and you're seeing like the morgue trucks or the ice trucks are outside the hospitals, and it's just like, it's insane. And you're reading on social media of people that you know that have lost people, and it's like, it was either like you get it and it's nothing, or you get it and you're intubated. Like, there was really no middle ground.
In between.
It was like, if it was one of those things, like, if you got it, you wait your 7 days, and within day 7 to 14 you don't got no cough, all right, cool, you're asymptomatic. And if it's like, oh well, you gotta watch your breathing, and then you read, like, I remember I would be up at night reading the NYC COVID subreddit, and you're just going through what everyone, like, you've got people who are saying they went through it and they're dealing with the aftermath of it, and versus all like waiting for this vaccine to show up, and you're waiting for all these things, and like you're being very timid about what you want to do. You know, and there are people who are out there doing their jobs and doing what they have to do. And I was, you know, my family and I'm very fortunate that I was able to just work from home and get my food delivered, like groceries delivered and all that stuff. And it was a very different, like, because I'm sure there are lots of people around us who did not have that privilege, and it's just, you know, did our best to just stay inside. Like, we were inside for like 3 months, and we had 2 kids inside the house. It was nuts.
One of the things I think is a weird experience, and I think this is something that if you live in a major city, you'll fully understand it more if you live in suburbia. to walk outside your house for a walk, and one, to be slightly paranoid that you left your house, whether if it's just to go to the store or to travel, like to be super paranoid, like if you walk out, you're just going to catch it. One, and two, to walk outside your house and it's dead, like Walking Dead, like nobody's outside. If you see one person, you guys are more than 6 feet apart. You guys are just
Yeah.
like, nah, you stay over there, I'll stay over here. Like even now with masks, I think I'm a little bit, because I have the shot, I'm more relaxed to have my mask slightly on, slightly off. But there was a time where I was like, no, this doesn't come off. This comes off for no one. This is a part of me now. If I was thinking, like, if we had fashion gear that had mask incorporated, I feel like that's the future now. We just gonna have like hoodies with masks. We're going to be Mandalorian or tattooing it. Like that's just going to become a new part of us now.
I mean, I haven't even gotten a cold, so and I love that. I love that because I think I used to think it was the changing of the weather was the reason why I got the cold. I was like, no, it's just being on the dirty subway.
Actually, yeah. I mean, for me, it was completely different. Like, for me, I had to like brave it because, like you said, I'm one of those people that could not get stuff delivered. So I had to go to those grocery stores. I had to buy the meat. I had to buy the stuff that we need that were essentials to literally live. And at the time, I was living with 2 other people. So it was like this whole big thing that we needed to like get the food for the week, get the stuff, because stores were closing within a certain time frame, right? By 6, 7 o'clock, there was nobody outside. There was absolutely nothing. Stores were like completely closed, right? It was a very jarring experience. And yeah, like you said, the PTSD on that still hasn't come around I would say it hasn't come around to being admitted upon.
Yeah.
Right? Because everybody indoors, like we're talking about it now, but indoors it's more discussed upon than actually going out there and talking about it. And yes, there have been people talking about mental health and mental health awareness now, right? To the point where the government's trying to put, trying to put money out there so people can get therapy. People can, they can have more therapists go to school and actually open up their practices so people can get that, and it's something like, because for me, I had to be that one where it was like, all right, I need to go out there. I need to like literally abate this paranoia. I had to abate this, this fear, because I had to go out there and I had to buy food. I had to buy essentials, and and that alone was its own like trauma, if you will.
Yeah. Well, imagine if you go from having an outlet, and I think one of the things that maybe might be a shareable note is questioning your outlet on a social level versus an individual level. So what I mean is, I'm with Sketchfed, I got so used to like being around you, Jesse, Sylvia, Lee, that when that got taken away, it kind of damped my creativity, because I was like, oh my God, like I enjoy being around these people socially. But now it's kind of like, how do I step back to like this earlier medium where I was just doing things by myself? And because you want one, like I'm an introvert. You guys cannot tell. Geektopians, you can't tell. But off camera, I'm completely different. Sean can tell you, like off camera, I am more Kubrick. Like, where I'm gonna get away from you. I don't want to be there. So I'm more energetic.
I'm happy
here.
He's admitting it. I'm happy he's admitting it.
Oh well, because I'm the honest one. But being social, like now I'm just in a place where I don't trust human beings, because our decision making apparently is all over the place. But with that being said,
you need to feel a part of a group, and it doesn't matter if your group is the right group or the wrong group. Once you're in a group, just that primitive human mind of being a part of a group is so. It's just there. It's ingrained in us. It's like, why you can break people up into 32 different NFL teams or into different aspects or political parties. Just these ideologies that we all just kind of latch onto, and it's good or bad depending on what side of history you end
Yeah.
up on.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that's why it's always good to go back to that word of adapting, and let's bring this full circle back into like content creation, because especially with Nerds Around, like once again, you guys went from the couch to the couch and table to to pretty much like, hey, this is it. But the good thing about that is, and kind of said this before with other content creators too, like 2020 really challenged people to say, okay, I no longer have this avenue to create or to get my stuff out there. What can I do and how can I do it and take it to the next level? And I think we talked about this on a panel too, where, it's kind of like, you go from setting up a table and a booth at a Comic-Con to now having to understand how streaming works and what webcams work perfect and setting up a time schedule to do online sketching. So there are some positive takeaways um, in figuring out the new
normal.
Yeah.
The new normal.
the new, yeah.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
Definitely. I
But-
mean, if you're able to, even like remote work has blown up. It was like a pipe dream for some people, and even in certain industries where it doesn't make sense why you couldn't do it from home because of this whatever fear of people not getting work done or this idea
micromanaging.
Yeah.
Want to
micromanaging.
micromanage.
Yeah, people, managers who shouldn't be managers feeling this lack of power in regards to feeling people are doing busy work and not just doing the job to do the job.
Yeah.
And the pandemic like jump started the fact that most of these jobs can be done at home, and you can still create revenue for a business, and people get a lot of stuff back. Time with your family, no commuting, and just it's unfortunate it took a pandemic to unlock all of that.
Oh, shed a light on the American healthcare system.
Yeah,
shed a light on.
Oh my God!
The House of Cards.
Yeah, this pandemic literally showed us what the strength and the flaws of not only America but the entire world.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And yes, say what you will, but this pandemic, which is always once in a century, right? Every century you're gonna have a once in a century pandemic where it's gonna hit the globe, right? And you're gonna have to adapt to it. I believe that we just need to learn from this. The only fear I have is that we're not going to. It's going to repeat itself. The same mistakes are going to be said. Everything is going to be done over where it's like we didn't learn from last time. And you know what? It is what it is. That's just human nature. That's the way I see it. It's human nature, and it's just up to us as individuals to learn and figure it out for ourselves.
Yep.
I'm gonna agree with something more what Tone said. History will. All of this is being recorded, and I don't think that it's not that we're not going to learn from it. I think when that next turn of the pendulum or the clock ticks, that time frame will be different. And if you look at what makes this pandemic completely different than all others, we have rapid communication online, and I think the biggest problem with this pandemic is it happened during a time that misinformation is on the rise. And once again, not getting in political, but because misinformation is on the rise and we're living in a time frame that you can get information super quick, I think it comes down to the fact of people are very quick to read something and not go deeper into it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a double-edged sword, because there are things that people are reading and they're going deeper into. And when I mean deep, I mean look at the source. Who is saying this? Where is this coming from? Is this a legitimate source, or is this an opinion? I think they were talking about like in the 90s. One of the things that was happening in the 90s, especially on like news shows, they would bring on guests, and the guest would always say during the segment, well, in my opinion. And having an opinion and writing an editorial or writing a post on your opinion is not fact. But we're living in a generation that it's being perceived as fact. It's being perceived as these talking points. So I think in the future that's going to change. I feel like something's going to happen that we get to the point where it's like, nah, we something has to change, and it's a generational thing. I think it changes generationally. I think that the generation that's now, I don't want to say, I don't know if it's millennials or Gen Z. Gen Z is before millennials, right? Or Gen Z is after.
Gen Z's after.
Gen Z is after.
So
X,
then it's
Because we're technically millennials.
we're millennials. Then there's X. Then there's boomers.
okay.
Yep.
So then
Well,
it's
I thought boomers was before. Yeah, you're right. Going backwards.
so then
Yeah.
it's Gen X and the generation before Gen X.
Is
that-
boomers.
The boomers that are kind of like who are really showing themselves right now as far as like when it comes to facts. And it's kind of like the younger generation is kind of like, hey, no, we have to check you. So I think there's so many different arguments happening right now that
Let's just start veering away from that, because
Sorry, Geektopians, we didn't mean to go down this path. Sorry about that. You know,
in the immortal words of a great musical artist,
the Latin lover.
where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from? Cotton Eye Joe.
Wow.
Damn, you just
Wow,
had that
that was-
there. That's a real
that
way
was-
to
that was
stab
kind
that
of-
in the heart.
That was kind of
Yeah.
deep. All right, Tone. Tone, it was great having you on. You are amazing. All right.
I appreciate coming on, man. This is fun.
I want to have you back on the show again so we can have another Who Knows Tone's Best.
I mean, you're gonna make me lose anyway from some
Tone-
nonsense, so it's
Whoa,
fine.
we're
It's
not-
fine.
we're
It's
not
fine.
that
I'll
kinda-
I'll come
No,
on.
I want you to come back on so we could talk about just random theories that we have for TV shows,
Yeah, we
comics, and
did.
everything.
Yeah, let me know. I'm always down to talk about that type of stuff. Even if you want to be a pain in my ass and talk about Game of Thrones, I'll do it. I mean,
I see. That's the thing, and that's one of the things we can discuss next time, right? How can people have such great IPs and literally create shitstorms of it?
Geektopians,
That is something we could discuss next time.
if next time we have Tone on, send us some questions, that we'll ask him, and we'll get it going. So, all right, Tone, let the people know where they can find you at.
yeah,
I mean,
sure. So I am 1/3 of Nerds of the Round, as the guys have said. You can find us on all of our socials are essentially Nerds of the Round. I think Twitter's the Nerds OTR is like, but we're barely on Twitter. But look us up on YouTube, the Nerds Around. Look us up on Instagram, the Nerds Around. We technically have a Twitch and we technically have a TikTok, but I think it's just Seabass throwing some shit up there. But that's where you can find us. And if you want to reach out, if you want to jump on our chats, we're always down to, we're always up for the chat participation and everyone jumping in because, it's a lot of fun. Like the whole thing is like the whole shtick of the Nerds Around is for nerds to come together and to talk about this thing that we are talking about tonight, whether it's Loki or What If or The Witcher or whatever the hell is coming down the line. That's the environment we want to bring. There is no gatekeeping involved. It doesn't matter what your level of expertise is. Just jump on in and jump into the conversation because we all have a good time. We've had some guests come in and they weren't really into the topic and they eventually grew into it and they were able to have bonds with their family over it. And they come in with their wild ass theories. Whether I think they're going to happen or not that's a discussion happening in my brain. There's no need to bring that up on here. But the whole point is for us all to have fun and to talk about topics because one of the negatives we hear about geek culture is gatekeeping and people feeling like they need to test your nerddom. And unfortunately, it tends to happen of a male nerd going against a female nerd, and it's just not cool. It's not acceptable. I mean, back in my day. And when we were into this and it was no longer cool and it was taboo, if there was someone of the opposite sex into what you were into, I was all in. That was a cool thing. I don't know why. I don't know why we gotta have a trivia contest to see if you can jump in. I don't understand. Like we should.
Well, that is something that I hope when we get a female guest on that we can discuss upon further. But more so the fact I would like to discuss on the fact because it was funny because when I started going to cons years ago, right? I've been going to cons for about 13, 14 years now. There were people there that would try to gatekeep me for these cons and about these characters and stuff like that. And I'm just in the back of my mind, I'm just like, yo, can I just enjoy this for what it is? Right?
Yeah.
Can I enjoy this show for what it is? Do I have to know what Captain America said in issue 252,
Mhm.
right? To another character just so I can prove my fandom? Like,
Jeez, I was
It's
trying
like
to wrap it up. but we're-
it's fine. It's fine. It's like a
Yeah, I know.
I know. Like I
but
will
this,
say
this is how we get here, people.
you know,
yeah,
and
this is
I
what
mean, I don't-
happens.
it's fun. I mean, I think it's just a line you
Mhm.
have to toe, because for me, and I think, and I could be wrong, and where gatekeeping really came from, it came from people who are really into a topic. People like to talk about what they're really into, and you want to share that with somebody.
Mhm.
And it just got metamorphosized into this twisted way. Like, so if I was in a conversation with a bunch of people who were into Game of Thrones, but they only watched the TV show, and I read the books, and I read all the crap, and I'm on Reddit. I won't go, if I'm in that conversation at the table, I won't say, well, I will always suggest you should read the books, because I think you should always do that. But my thing is like, but let me tell you some of this stuff so that you can be like, that's cool. Because like sometimes people have questions, and I'm like, oh, I can come in and fill that answer in, and like you want to share that information and provide that info, but in a place of like sharing knowledge of this collective thing that we're a part of, and to make you now a part of it, because now you know.
Yeah.
And I think it's been metamorphosized to people who have been ostracized growing up, and they feel that this thing is so close to them and it's a part of their identity. And now that it's cool, all these people can just kind of come in and take something away from them. It's not an excuse to do it. It's not an excuse, and it's not giving it a pass. It's just, as a person who was into topics that were made fun of to where they are now, I don't agree, but I kind of like quote unquote understand, but it's still not cool. Like, you got to grow up.
I'll say that I feel like, especially with us having the topic of being in a patriarchal society, and I'm going to speak more about like gamers, because I actually love this topic. There are no female geeks and female nerds. There's no male geeks, male nerds. They're just nerds and geeks. Just like there's no female gamers or male gamers. They're gamers. I think what happened was, one part of that is this system that we lived in, and I always use Nintendo as a good example, where in Nintendo's marketing strategy, it was especially in toy stores, to put video games in the boy section and to market towards boys, and that became like this consistent thing where like music videos were marketed towards girls, makeup, dress, or even dolls. Like the fact that division action figures versus dolls,
Yep.
to even where now that's a conversation of, would you let your son play a girl's video game? Would you let your son play a what's considered a you get what I mean, like the vice versa. So I think it's good that that's a conversation, and that we're coming to this point where, and I hope it's getting better, that we're coming to this point where it's like there's been this division because society has kind of bred us in this way. If you're a boy, you should do this. If you're a girl, you should do this. And then over time, when it comes into like nerdom, into like fandom, that level of toxicity comes from, it's a dick swinging contest of, one, this is what I know and this is what you don't know. And two, I have this not expectation. I've had this belief that because this is your gender, you don't know what I know. You're not as invested. But there's people out there who there's some women out there who are more knowledgeable than anime than I am, and it's very surprising because I've been checked on this where I've called somebody the wrong name, and somebody called me out. I was like, no, it's not pronounced like that, and I'm like, this is kind of a catch-22. Like, I don't bring it up because in that moment I'm like, okay, you know what? I get it, and I'm not going to go into the argument of like who's right, who's wrong, but like kind of like you said, I understand, and it's up to me to make that difference and say, no, we're all there's no need to gatekeep.
Yeah.
You're a fan of what you are, what you're a fan of. I'm a fan of what I am. if anything, let's work to have a dialogue so we can learn more and grow as fans together instead of like, I think Sean was talking about it at one point. When it comes to comics, one of the hardest things with comics is you have the old school comic heads who do make it hard for the younger generation to get into comics because their knowledge of what comics or what sci-fi should be or what it was is not what it currently is. But comic books change all the time. Storylines, there's so many alternate storylines. Like, why are we gatekeeping? So
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like why some of the comic book writers have been, I've heard the argument of like, why not create, new characters that do the representation. So Latin, Black, gay, trans, different, deaf, things like that. Like, why not have just different brand new heroes? And why do we have to kind of keep passing these mantles over? And I think it's just because, like, if we're not giving these mantles of heroes, because we learned from Spider-Man, like it's a mantle. So like Spider-Man's going to be Spider-Man, Captain America's going to be Captain America, Robin's going to be Robin. These are just names of superheroes. They are not the people behind them. So you have these new mantles, and then you have them. The person who's holding this mantle is that representation because they are now Captain America, or they are now Spider-Man, or they're Robin. This gay Latin man or trans woman is like these heroes, like these, because that hero name is going to be there. And then if you want to read about this hero who you like, you're going to learn about who the alter ego is, and you're going to be exposed to something that maybe you didn't think you're going to be exposed to. I think brand new heroes should also be great. Like Miss Marvel with Kamala Khan. I thought that was fantastic of what they did. But you got to have a healthy balance. It can't just be all brand new heroes from the big two. You got to have brand new heroes coming in, but you got to have the mantles of heroes being passed down to the next generation of people who are a better fit and a better representation of society.
So there's I got it. Because there's so much. There's so much to unpack here.
But I will finish with this, right? Okay. And it's something you guys touched on a lot. And I'm just gonna say, the problem that we have, and this is more so a lot of the old guard, and they have, and from what I'm understanding, and based on my personal experiences, it's what I feel is a superiority complex, right? They feel superior because they have this knowledge and they want to test this knowledge so much that it literally deters other people, because it's like, well, this person knows everything and is trying to question me instead of teaching me, right? The whole point of having fandom and being a fan of these characters, like you said, it's sort of like in wrestling. In wrestling, you have a new character, and the best way to get over that character is to be trained and be mentored and be managed by an older legend character, right? In AEW, you have Darby Allin and Sting, right? Before you had like Charlotte Flair with her father, Ric Flair, right? Whenever that was actually happening, right? You always have like that. You said it, that mantle passing on. But then there are also cases where there is no mantle to pass on, right? There is no changing of the guard because something may happen where it's like all of a sudden this new character is thrust into there. Spider-Man is a perfect example of that, right? Spider-Man did not mentor Miles until recent different avenues. Miles was a fan of the work and literally got bitten by a radioactive spider and became the new Spider-Man, and just literally learned from the fandom that he had of Spider-Man. At least I interpreted that correctly.
Hey, try this one. Variant. See,
it's not a variant if it's in the same universe.
Variant. The fans will go for it. They'll understand it better than alternate variant. See, it works.
But that's
Marvel.
The variant only works if it's a multiverse.
All right. So, damn, I don't. All right.
All right. We'll end it on that.
Wait, let me get this one drop in there.
Parking lot.
I'm gonna get this one drop.
No, we got so many tangents here.
We get this one drop in there because I agree with you, Sean. But I think that because we're Western culture, something that Eastern culture does that we are very quick to accept, that I wish that we would learn to accept it over here in the West. If you look at manga, a book series can go 7 books to 100 something books, but what doesn't keep passing on is like there's not like, oh, like go like you have your Gokus, yes, you have your Ichigos, you have your in our society we have Superman, and instead of us being more like Eastern, where it's like it's cool to have a Superman, but Superman fades out, and then we keep introducing new stories with new heroes, and I think this is where indie comics come in, because indie comics are trying to say like, look, yeah, you got your Supermans, you got your Batmans, but there are tons of ideas of new heroes on the block that can come out, but we keep recycling these heroes, and we keep. I think it becomes more of a commercial avenue because those heroes sell. Where if you look at Eastern and manga, it's like, once a book series done, it's not that you forgot about that character. That story was still epic, but there are artists who are constantly creating more and more and more stories. And I think that's an avenue I would like to see transition over here in the West, where, yeah, it's great to have an Avengers movie. It's great to follow the DCU, but I think the DCU and the MCU would be greater if all those characters who are considered B and C and D, if they got treated the same way that Eastern characters get created, in the sense of, hey, yeah, Wolverine's great, but here's the next best. Here's the next.
Here's X-23.
Here's not the next Wolverine, but here's the next. And we don't do that.
Manga is very generational. So like right now it's My Hero, Demon Slayer. Like that's right now. That's this generation. I don't consider it my generation because I love them. They're great products. But my generation is Naruto. Like that's
my generation was Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon.
And like I watched Dragon Ball Z, but like if I had to pick a shonen that I was really really attached to, Naruto. There's other stuff that's
Dragon Ball Z.
And there are other pieces.
And Bleach, believe it or not. I loved Bleach, like
$20.99. All right. Okay, Tone. It was great having you on.
Yes.
Yeah, we're doing the Hispanic goodbyes.
Yeah.
Another goodbye.
In the middle of that, you have where I'm at, Nerds Around. You can find us on Instagram and on YouTube. We go live every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. I am one of 3. Tone from across the hall, Law, and Sebastian.
Yeah, which we will have Sebastian coming up on another show. All right, I'm going to send you to the green room, sir.
All right, man. Thank you for having me. It was great going on.
It was great having you on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Geektopians. I hope you had a great time on this episode.
Okay, why is it every episode we have a shoot the shit on the first hour, and now we have a second hour where it's like deep conversations?
No, the deep conversations is the shoot the shit. So you know what's happening here? I see it. We just don't know when's the best time to shoot the shit. So we're shooting. We're just So it's kind of like when we go into the green room, and every show that we've been on, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you know this. Most podcasts, once they go off, everybody goes into the green room for about 5 minutes and they say their goodbyes, but people keep talking. And some of the best stuff that you don't get recorded are said in the green room. And I think with us, maybe it's the comfort level, but we just get to this point where, and I think that's what makes a genuine podcast, where you can see that the dynamic of the feel of the conversation is no different than people in the same room or on a phone call with each other. So I don't know how to work this magic. Sean, any advice on that?
Listen, I feel like, just real quick, because I know we're about to close up, but I just feel like, our niche is literally that. Like, we bring those backstage conversations, at least we try to bring those backstage conversations to the forefront, right? Because those are things that people barely talk about, or people barely want to acknowledge, and we bring that acknowledgement, we bring that knowledge, we bring that know-how, where it's like, guess what? We're talking about it. We feel you guys. Yeah. We understand what you're going through. We are, and I hate to say it like this, but we are the Geektopians.
Yeah, we are. And as we have more guests on, we hope we get to have some of your favorite guests on. we're going to talk about their creative side, but we also want to have conversations like shoot the shit, where you
Yeah.
get to see them, that they're human beings, and that, you know, whether if it's once the outfit is taken off, once the pencil's put down, they're still human beings, and you can relate to how they feel and how they think. So
Let us know if there's any particular artist, TV personality, whoever, you know, that's trying, that would you want us to like try and get to interview if we can, you know, because that'd be very interesting. You know, I would love to hear from perspectives of people, and just let them know, like, look, fans requested this. Are you up for it?
And once again, you can catch us at sketchfedstudios.com, also sketchfed.com. This episode will be up next week. Well, you should if you're watching this, then it probably is next week. On Sketchfed YouTube channel, we have episodes of Geektopians in the works, as well as Geektopians live in the work. That's coming down the pipeline. What else? You can catch us on Facebook at Sketchfed, as well as on Facebook at the Geektopians, Instagram. You know, everything's linked down below. And before we get out of here, this episode was brought to you by Sean Speedos. Sean Speedos, you can get those wherever it has his face, and the Latin Love Speedos. With that said, I'm Charlie Radio Williams.
And this is SeanLuc.
And as always, we are out of here. Stay geek.